This is the SEA-235 HF single sideband digital marine radio. Digital because it has an IF DSP. The radio is designed and built in the United States. This is the microphone. It runs off 12 volts DC, 13.8 if you want, and it draws about 25 amps in the peaks. The output power is 150 watts, but lower levels are also selectable, as I will show you in a minute. Let's turn it on. Runs a self-test. Shows the firmware versions for the DSP as well as the control firmware. As you can see, the radio can be controlled with a keypad. The nice thing about this radio is that it is a marine radio, but it also has a ham mode, an amateur mode, that the designers programmed into this radio. It's an undocumented feature, although if you search for it you can find it on the internet. What you do is you punch 73 and then function, and it will switch to amateur mode. Once it is in amateur mode, you can go anywhere from 1.6 to 30 megahertz, so that includes the ham bands as well. So it receives and transmits without lockouts anywhere in that band, in that range, as we will show you. Let's go to the 20 meter band. That's where we are now. We can step across the frequencies in different resolutions. Standard, it does 10 Hertz, it's the smallest resolution as you can see here, but it is possible to step in larger increments. For instance, if I type 2 and then I go up and down, now it steps in 100 Hertz steps, as you can see. If I do 3, I can go down in 1 kilohertz steps, and if I do 4, I can go down in 10 kilohertz steps, up and down, of course. The easiest is 1 kilohertz, as you see here. If I keep the buttons depressed, this is the speed that it will go up or down. So that's exactly the right speed. The nice thing is that most hams stay within a 1 kilohertz resolution, 1 kilohertz grid, so hardly ever do you have to use the 100 hertz or 10 hertz capability. 10 hertz is kind of nice though if you would use it for the digital modes, and like I said, it can do that as well. I'll show you what modes this radio actually can cover. We're running it now in upper sideband, which is common for hams on the 20 meter bands, as you can hear. But we can do different modes, as I will show you. This is the standard upper side. Lower sideband is possible too. This is the FSK or digital mode. It calls it telex, but it's basically FSK, of course. And this is about 300 Hertz. There is a wideband telex mode. This is the wideband. As you can hear, it switches in different filters. This is amplitude modulation equivalent. So if you use this, the transmit will be one sideband plus the carrier. This is CW. As you can hear, it has a CW filter as well. It's quite nice actually. So I can do that too.
I've still got it.
And this is the true AM mode. What that means is it is capable of receiving AM in a true AM fashion, if you want to call it that, but it does this only on transmit, on receive. So transmit will still be with a single sideband with carrier inserted. And here we're back on upper sideband. So as you see, it's pretty versatile radio.
Busy, he's an IT guy for Kent State University.
Just to show you quickly the size of the radio.
I guess they can do with whatever
It's
they
about
want.
10 inches
I don't
across
think it's probably going to bother us. KE7
and about 3.5, 4 inch high. And it is about 11 inch deep. As you see, it has a mobile bracket installed. I use that now as a stand. It has a front firing speaker, that's kind of nice. And it has some features that allow it to be used as marine radio as well. That basically all the marine channels, shortwave marine channels, are programmed in here and are grouped in banks depending on the purpose. For instance, there is a bank for weather fax channels, there is a bank for marine radio operator, there is a bank for ship-to-ship frequencies, there is a bank for emergency channels, and I'll show you that in a minute. For the memories, we go to Alpha, Enter. Now I can select what kind of banks I want to switch in, memory banks. This is WWV. This basically contains the Boulder, Colorado frequencies, basically to see if the radio is on frequency. These are the emergency channels. Safety channels, I don't know what this is. This I think is either ship to ship or ship to shore. This might be ship to ship or ship to shore, whatever. This is the marine radio operator if you want to make phone calls to the mainland. They used to have that service, I don't know if it still exists. This is the weather fax channels, and this is another whatever fax channel. And this is another weather fax channel. Group, I should say group. And we have, I don't know, navigation, weather, I don't know what this is, but as you can hear, this is obviously a fax. And more fax, and more fax. You name it, it's there. Now the other thing it can do is user memories that can be programmed. I'll show you that in a minute. For instance, if I go to Alpha again, I am now at the 60 meter channels that I pre-programmed. As you can see here, nothing to hear during the day, but I can select which channel I want to pick. As you can see, this was channel 45371.5 that I programmed. So it is possible to program your own channels in here, anywhere you want. I think it has 100 or 150 memories, I'm not exactly sure, I didn't use them all. Now we can also go to mode we already discussed, power. As you can see, I have high power, which is 150 watts. I have low power, which is 50 watts. And I have very low power, which is I think 10 watts or 20 watts, not 100% sure. High power is, like I said, 150 watts. And let's talk about the last menu here, the setup menu. I can set the dimmer. I think it's now set at medium. I can adjust the squelch. I think I now have that off, but you can digitally adjust the squelch. Beep, whether you want it to beep when you press buttons. This allows for the use of an external antenna tuner. Has a connector for that on the back, but if you don't have that tuner, you got to disable this. This has to do with the control head address. It is possible to connect multiple control heads of this radio. This can come off, and in the back there is a control head connector for that, and here you select which control head is active. This has to do with the modulation strength in single sideband. This is the modulation strength in digital mode. This is the single sideband AGC for the receiver, whether you want fast or slow. And you can also set AGC for the digital mode separately. This is the FOGAT, they call it. It's basically a speech processor. You can set that on or off. I currently have it set for on. And this is the exit. And that's basically it. So it has quite a lot of features. Now, if you want to take it in the marine mode, you can basically go to the pre-programmed marine channels. Also, if you happen to know the particular number, 201 for instance, you can go there directly. 301, that is not programmed. I don't know from the top of my head what those numbers are, but if you're known with HF marine channels, you will know what I mean. .2422 is 250, whatever that means. So you can directly go to the to the corresponding marine channel if you want to do that. All right, let's show you what kind of power levels we get from this radio and how the modulation sound. For the power, we have a Bird 43 with the 250 watt slug, which is full scale, and we have a Yaesu FT817 as the monitor receiver, set at 14.250, just like the radio. And we're going to switch it to the dummy load to not bother anyone. See what we get. 1 2 3 4 5. Testing 1 2 3 4 5. Testing 1 2 3. We get about 165 watts on this band. The modulation sounds very good, but like I said, this is with the FOGAT, the speech processor switched in. 1 2 3. Let's see what it does on the other bands, what kind of power levels we get on 10 meters and the others. 28500. We're still on the dummy load. Exactly 150 watts at 10 meter band. Let's try some other bands. See what it does here, just for the heck of it. A little bit more than 150 watts. This is the 12 meter band, 12 meter ham band. Well, that's also 150 watt. It gets boring pretty quickly, so I'll show you, let's see. 71000. That is the 40 meter band. You see it switches to LSP in the ham mode. It does a little bit more than 160. And then we have the 80 meter band. 80 meter power demo. Also 150 watt, and we'll do the 160. Like I said, it does the 160 meter band as well. And that's a little bit less, 140 watts on 160 meters. And that kind of wraps it up. The SEA-235 marine radio, also very usable on the ham bands, as I showed you,
and then I've got a Force 12
with the aesthetic 636L well-known microphone. Is rebranded for C, and this particular one is in very good condition.
So now I'm toying with the idea, since the tower goes up and down with the push of a button.
And it has the DC cable included.
On top of that tower,
ready to go.
Force 12.
Thank you for watching this video.
I'll bet you there's still an advantage to the Force 12, but I'm betting it's not. See how that works. Give us 5 minutes in the back.
20 meters.
KD2, HDZ, in Long Island, New York. Calling CQ. Any station, anywhere. This is KD2, HDZ. Mike Bravo Victor from Long Island, calling CQ. The contact and nice here in Nova Scotia up there. We're running here at Kenwood TS590 sugar into a Meritron 811 into a fan dipole up about 50 feet. So back over to you, and thanks for the contact. This is WA2TIY, over. Best wishes to you. The equipment's doing a great job, and all the best from Nova Scotia. Whiskey Alpha 2 Tango Yankee. Roger, Roger. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you. WA2TIY, off the clear. Charlie Golf 1, Bravo, Bravo.
And that's 20 meters.
And I don't predict any frost or anything this far south, so that's one of the joys of being this far south. You don't get the frost. Although one year, I think it was 2009, we had frost down here, but I don't recall any date since then. So, Dean, put another hamburger on the George Foreman, anyway, it's coming your way. Coast Guard mechanic, pick it up, Dean. W4ZMA.
All right, Fred, you sounded good. W1ZMA, KF4, Coast Guard mechanic, and I don't use my George Foreman that much, but I tell you guys, it sure took fast. Very fast.
Let's see what power level we get here. Go on a dummy load. About 160 watts.
I won't have to spend a half a day cleaning up the vehicle.
That's 40 meters.
When you got a short. And the VC610 is doing quite well. So I actually got a hold of somebody who has a lot of VC610 parts, so I'm waiting to get an inventory from him. I might end up picking up a few more goodies and spares for the old 610. And with that, I will say 73 to everybody. Wish everyone a good night, and turn it over to WQ4L. John, go ahead. So kind of put you a wire, connect you a wire to the top of it, and you might be able to pull away and make an inverted L, since you have a radial system underneath it. When you're not on 160, you just take the piece of wire that makes up the difference for the inverted L length on 160. You put it out as horizontal as you can get it, and just pull it back and